Wonderful. Welcome, welcome, Bernadette Wintersbell, LMSWP LLC, host of the wonderful podcast From Heartache to Healing and Hope, which I am very, very honored to produce for you. Welcome, Bernadette, to the last Fireside Chat of 2021.
Wow, and today we have a real fire. Normally we come from our studio, which I have a lovely faux fireplace and heater, but today we have the real thing. So I wanted it to be really cozy and simple and personal, intimate. So welcome to all of you.
Love that, love that. So I'm going to be moderating a bit for everybody today, Bernadette, and I'm going to be monitoring our Facebook chat for any questions that anybody might have. So anybody that might be watching or who's going to pop in, and I'll let folks know along the way, we can take questions on Facebook for Bernadette. But to start us off, Bernadette, I wanted to ask you to share some of your thoughts about this year that we have all just gone through together. You know, from your perspective, having worked with so many people throughout the year and also having then reached so many people with your podcast, I think that everybody's going to be really fascinated to get your thoughts about, you know, taking a look back and what we have all gone through collectively together.
Well, first, everyone take a breath, because even from that introduction, I'm getting tired thinking of everything we all went through. Let's take a breath. You know, in thinking about this podcast review and the year we're doing now, I was thinking about this time last year, and I remember feeling hopeful because we knew the vaccines were coming and we would be able to get them in the new year if we so chose. And there was certainly fatigue, but there was an uplift and hope. And so this year has been like many years, but certainly the past two. And so we've had the time where we felt lifted up in our spirits, maybe mad at other people mad at us because we made different choices than them. How do we negotiate that and address that? And that's what informed us calling the second season that started in September of 2021 of Weathering the Storm, because we're still in it. And last year was Same Storm, Different Boats. But this one now, I added Cultivating Kindness because I saw a real dearth of it. It was missing from so many of us, whether it was kindness to ourselves or to the checker at the health food store or wherever we might be. We were all dealing with so much and so tired and fatigued that we lost kindness and patience and grace. And I felt for myself that that's not how I wanted to go through my life. And so I said, no, let's put in here Cultivating Kindness. And I felt so strongly about it. I said, no, damn it, everyone's got to be kind, which was not exactly the way I was originally intending it. But that's the kind of passion we've all had about our different perspectives. And when we go through so many things and everyone's had a collective set of circumstances and then each individual customized, whether you're parents and each working and the children are in school, out of school, hybrid, who knows where they are, or you're a person living alone, or you're somebody working all the time, or any other variation of that. You know, we've all had so much. And taking the time to breathe and to say, I can get through this. One thing I posted this year that I really, really needed to keep repeating to myself was, in reviewing my life, I see that all of the bad days and really difficult times I've gotten through 100% of them. So I've got a good track record, as do we all, to go through in the past. It's when we're in the middle of it that it just seems like I can't do this. And people saying, I'm done, as if we have a choice. You know, when I was about 15 years old, I was helping my dad that summer take care of the rest of the 7 children. My mom was ill. And he came home one day and everyone was very upset. And they said, Bernadette's upstairs and she says she quits. So my father came up to chat with me. And I said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. It really wasn't an option. And because they weren't doing things the way I wanted them to do it. And of course, at 15, I had a lot of rules. You know, don't throw your wet towels here, do this, do the other thing. And my father said that he could appreciate how I felt, but there really wasn't an option. And the only other option he said there was for my grandmother to come and she would tell us all what to do. And not wanting to lose control, I went, okay, I'm back on the job tomorrow. And so I needed him to say, this is hard and I appreciate it and I appreciate what you're doing, but it could get worse. You could lose total control. And I've remembered that a couple of times this year to say, what do I have control over? And how can that help me? I can control what I put on my body. So today I put on a necklace that's a compass, because I think we all need to have some sense of where we're going. Or if we don't know where we're going, at least a tool to help us as we're going along, for some guidance and support. And I think that can bring some kindness and hope into our heart. And that's what I've been thinking about as we think about 2021.
A question for you, Bernadette. So we have produced 28 podcasts and in 2021. So can you please talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you amidst the pandemic, you know, from the way that we were able to adapt to our working situation, and then onto, you know, the experience of doing these interviews and then putting them out into the world. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You know, Beatrice, I think in a lot of ways, the podcast has sustained me. I still have a very thriving practice that's bulging at the seams. I have, as many therapists do, trying to help so many people. And it's absolutely essential for the therapist to be able to take the breath and have sources of support and balance. And that's one of the things for me is the podcast. And so there have been so many interesting people. To me, everyone's got a story. So it doesn't have to be anyone with a big name, although I'm not opposed to interview anyone with a big name, Oprah call. But I love the stories that people have told of their struggles and willing to share it. And I remember someone I worked with for quite some time, and he talked about hopelessness. I never in my life thought Phil would talk about hopelessness, but he also talked about then what gave him hope and how he continues to go forward. And so I've been enthralled, motivated, and able to renew my spirit every time we do one. You know, as you well know, and this has driven you crazy a lot of the times, none of it is scripted. I don't even want to know a lot of information before we start. I want whatever is going to come out to come out. I want it to be very organic. And I'm willing to be vulnerable and say whatever has to be said or listen to whatever comes out. And that has since I don't have an agenda, people can talk about what's close to their heart, what they've struggled with, or what has been a surprise to them, or what I call the gifts of the pandemic. And so, you know, we've done indoors, outdoors, all sorts of things, done them during storms and the internet. Wasn't thinking this is going to cut out at any minute. I hope it cuts
and
out.
It did sometimes.
I hoped it was not, well, the ones that weren't live, we have some leeway, but when they were live, you know, I thought, I don't want to be in the middle of saying something and it cuts out and that becomes something that people remember. Like, so I think that letting go of some control, like I can't control the internet. I barely understand it. And sometimes it goes out. Sometimes there's a storm. Sometimes people forget we were going to interview them, or the dog walks in the room and slaps them with their tail. And there's just so many things. And I found that I was able to learn and just be like, yeah, okay. So now we're not live, and there's the dog, and there's the, oh, okay, now the phone's ringing, you know, and all the, right. And not be like, oh my God, this is, you know, and that has helped me listening to people, and also in the pandemic itself, to learn, relearn, learn yet again what we have control over and what we don't. And in addition to that, learning when I let go of the control, not to be worried that I've lost something, but I gained something, and that's freedom. And the freedom is, well, I can't control anything, but here I am. And I'll just do the very best that I can. And I'm just going to give it so much. And that's been a real joy for me. I obviously like talking. And so, but the parameters around it have helped dealing with things. It's informed my work as a therapist, certainly as a woman and a person. And to say, yes, we will get through this. And also to be open to people's angst, and when they're, you know, and to help them to calm down. It's been a real gift.
I will say, Bernadette, for me as a producer, the adaptability that you were just talking about is huge. And the learning curve for me has also been incredible. Knowing, you know, intimately, again, as your producer, the effect that you have on your clients and also on your audience. For me, the most amazing thing has been that we're able to take it to the airwaves, and we're able to bring the nuggets and the pearls of wisdom that you're so brilliant at sharing with the folks that need it during their time of need. And so for me, the greatest gift has been being able to work really hard to reach as large an audience as possible with all of those incredible insights that come organically, not just from you, but also from our guests. And I will say that 2022, we're fingers crossed, hoping that we're going to be able to go into spaces with our guests and start to highlight and feature businesses and organizations. So that's super exciting for me in 22, which brings us to 2022. So Bernadette, can you share with us your thoughts about what's coming and how we're continuing to weather this storm together?
Well, we're looking at the podcast in a larger venue, you and I. And I'd like to give a shout out to Otsego County, where I work and live, and the support that they have for business and entrepreneurs is phenomenal. and we're looking at some grants so that we can expand and go to more places. As of recently, I learned that we were in 4 countries. We were trending, excuse me, I have to get the terminology right, in 4 countries: Norway, South Africa, the Philippines, and I think Thailand. Was that the other one?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that happens, but you do, so that's all that matters. And so the goal is to share more of it and to connect with people all over the world and learn more about their struggles and their challenges and their coping skills and their hopes and what helps them, because it is a global world more than it's ever been before. And going through something like this pandemic shows that to us in a way that maybe we never saw it before. Maybe we saw it, although I wasn't here for it, you know, like in World War I or World War II. But during this time, when we're having these global events, we have such levels of communication that we never had then. So we really can have a sense of what's going on in other places. So I'm very interested to widen it up and to learn. You know, one of the joys of getting older for me has been knowing that every day, every moment can be a learning. And that's exciting. And to think that I would have the opportunity to talk to even more people is wonderful. You know, of course, we don't know what 2022 will bring. However, I'm the eternal optimist. So I feel that we will begin to continue to move forward and really learn the lessons of working together, because striking out at one another is not doing anybody any good. And
you're talking about kindness, Bernadette, right?
I so am. I so am. You know, if you say to someone in an honest way, beautiful eyes, nice blouse, isn't it a sunny day? There's always something you can comment on. And that could make that person's day. Now, they may think you're crazy for saying something, which is certainly a response I've gotten, but that's okay. Because when I say things like that to people, it's because I mean it. And I just want to share my thought. And that's how we can connect with others that we don't know, or we don't really have to know their whole story. Just let me share this little bit of kindness with you. And the beauty of that is that we're not only giving, but we're receiving. Because often when I say something like that to someone, they stop a minute, look, and then smile. And then I've gotten a smile. So that's great, you know? So that's the kind of things I'd like to see more of on an individual level, in our families, our homes, our communities, our states, our countries, our world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Amazing, amazing. Well, I think that we have covered what has come before, what we are hoping for as we're looking forward and we're going into 2022. I do have one more question. We're going into year 3, right? We're in year 3 of the pandemic.
But we had it started, I'd say, March of 2020. So to me, year 2 will end March 2022 in my mind.
Yep. And we're going into year 3, right? So
right.
In 2022, you know, any words of advice just in general, Bernadette, about year 3?
My thought is that with social media and other digital items, we've perhaps gotten too used to having instant answers, instant communication, instant access to things in and of itself, a great thing. However, I think one of the things it's done is not make us very patient, because we want like this, instant food, instant. And, you know, when this first started, I did some research, and most of the science told me that it would take about 2 years for us to get through something like what we've been going through. So in my mind, I was, okay, it'll be 2 years. I can do 2 years. That helped me give it some structure. And when I started to share it with friends and my clients, it didn't seem very helpful to anybody else. In fact, they railed against it. 2 years. Ah! And so I stopped sharing it because that was too much for people. For me, it, you know, I haven't been as distraught by it, because in my mind, now, if it goes past the end of March 2022, I'm going to have a reset. So I think that as opposed to saying I'm done with this, or on a long-term basis, or when is this going to be over, maybe a better question to ask ourselves is, when this is done, how do I want to have said to myself or remind myself that I acted through it or responded to it? How did I model for my spouse or my children or whoever? And can I use this as a time to say, okay, I can grow. I don't have to like it. And you don't have to agree with any of it. But honoring it helps us to say, okay, let me see what I can do. And when I have a day that I can't deal with it, okay, I'm going to take a day off today. I'm not going to, because tomorrow it's going to be here anyway, you know? So I think that maybe as opposed to feeling put upon that we have to wear a mask or distance or wash our hands so much, and all of that's true. Maybe just this is what we need to do collectively as humans to go through this and come out the other side. That's what I think. I think that could help us in the year to come.
I knew I had to do this, Bernadette. I knew that I had to get you on Fireside 2021 going into 2022, because I needed to hear what you just said. And I know that a lot of other people definitely needed to hear it too. Patience, adaptability, holding the hope, and staying kind, all of it so crucial right now. I cannot thank you enough, Bernadette, for coming on with us today. On a personal note, I am truly honored to be at the helm of this ship for you. So thank you for an amazing 2021, and I can't wait for 2022 with you. I think I say for everybody who's watching and will watch, thank you, B, for all that you do for us.
Thank you. And, you know, let me just put it right back out there to you, because to everyone out there, if this bee wasn't running the ship, we would have been grounded a long time ago if I was doing it. So the bees, Bernadette and Beatrice, say to you, thank you for 2021. We so look forward to everybody in 2022. And okay, world, here we come.
Amazing, Bernadette. Happy New Year, B. I'll see you next year, lady.
I'll see you on the other side.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining today. We'll be back 2022, fresh episodes coming soon.